This is a 2023 GMC Yukon Denali, and it is GMC's full-size SUV based off of the Tahoe platform. Today, I'm going to be bringing you a review. My name's Aiden, and you're watching God Next. Now, starting on the exterior of the Yukon up front, as you can see, it is the classic big American SUV you get from GMC and all the GM brands. You have this massive chrome grille right here with the GMC logo. Since this is the Denali trim, you do have the LED headlights and fog lights up front. The color of this is ruby red metallic, and I think it suits this car really well. And of course, what GMC's done in the recent years with all of the facelifts and everything, I think they've made the Yukon look really good. Now on the side of the Yukon here, down to start, you have these 22-inch aluminum rims right here. Typically, as standard, you get 20-inch rims, but these are the upgraded 22s. You have some chrome badging, and this little piece of body line down here looks really good. Typically, I don't like chrome on cars, but GMC has managed to use it really well. With the Denali, you also get the body-colored mirror caps, and you'll see these cameras down here. That's actually for the HD surround view system that you get with this car that lets you have 360-degree camera views. On the Denali, you also get these electronic side steps that help anyone who needs it getting into the car. Now let's talk about the Yukon Denali suspension system for a second. As standard, you do get magnetic ride controlled suspension, and basically what that means is the system will independently monitor each wheel and adjust the vertical suspension to better handle the road conditions. It also improves steering, traction, and just leads to a more higher quality ride when it comes to driving the Yukon. Now on the back of the Yukon Denali back here, you'll see you have these quad exhaust pipes that lead back to a 6.2 liter V8. More Yukon and Denali badges, and with the Denali in any high-end vehicle out there, you will get this electronically opening tailgate. Let's talk about the cargo space for the Yukon Denali for 1 second. You get 25.5 cubic feet of cargo space behind the third row, but if you put that third row down using these two buttons right here, the seats will electronically fold down. They're also power up too. But then you'll get 72.6 cubic feet of cargo space behind that second row. It's not much to look at because half of it is tucked away, but this is a 6.2 liter V8, makes 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque, and it's mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. With the drivetrain in this car, you have an option of getting a two-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive model. This one is the four-wheel drive model, and that means this thing moves. Even though it weighs a lot, that 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque takes you miles. This one starts at about $79,000, and the Yukon in general starts at about $57,000. The problem is that a higher trim level comparison, let's say the Tahoe High Country, which compares to the Denali Ultimate, starts at $79,000 and has more technology packed in than this does. That includes things like adaptive air ride suspension and adaptive cruise control, which this does not have, that the High Country does for the same price. But overall, I think the High Country might be a little better priced for everything that you're getting out of it compared to the Yukon Denali, even though this is still a nice SUV. Now moving on to the interior of the Yukon Denali, it's a pretty nice place to be. You have soft touch materials just about everywhere you're going to be touching, down here on the lower part of the door panel as well. Also on the door panel, you're going to notice that you have that Bose logo on the speaker grille. That's because this has a 14-speaker audio system from Bose that you get as standard on this car. Now, as for other technology in here, you get a fully digital gauge cluster in the center with some navigation stuff in it and some other vehicle information. Above that, you're going to have a nice and high quality heads-up display. It shows your pitch and yaw angles and things such as your transfer case settings, whether you're in four-wheel high or four-wheel low or two-wheel high. You also have something there for your lane keep assist, shows your speed limit, and it shows your current speed. Now, as for the infotainment system in here, it is pretty responsive, and ever since they came out with the new generation of Tahoes and Yukons, I've actually really liked the infotainment system that they've put in their cars. This one seems to be from Google and uses the Google Assistant when you say something like, "Hey Google," and it doesn't, well, no, there it goes.
To do that, you'll need a data plan from your vehicle manufacturer.
Thank you, Google. Anyways, you also have things like wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto in this car. It's just a great place to be, and the infotainment system is super high quality. Like I said, this does have that HD surround view system. You can either press the camera button in the infotainment system, or the 360 camera button on the left of the steering wheel, and it will bring up the HD surround view. Like I said, you have 360-degree cameras. You can view up front, in the back, or from the side of the mirrors. For climate control settings, you do have 2 different stages of heated seats, and you have cooled seats as well with dual zone climate control. Pretty standard stuff. Now, as for connectivity up in the Yukon Denali, up front you have a USB Type-C and a USB Type-A with a 12-volt socket, and you also have a wireless charger for your phones. And in the glove box here, you do have some more connectivity as well. Now, this is another cool feature about the Yukon Denali that you get on the interior as standard. This has an electronically sliding glove box, and using a switch in the ceiling right here with the control stack, you can actually slide this back up to 10 inches, where you'll have more storage down here and a little cubby space that you can pull out if you want to store any secret items, because I know most people out there probably don't even know that this thing does that. For other storage up here, the glove box is a pretty good size. That's where you'll find your owner's manual and some other cool things in here. You have the contrast brown stitching against the beige leather color, and you have Denali embroidered into the seats. And the seats are pretty comfortable. I've been in some more comfortable ones. I think the Lincolns are a lot more comfortable than this is, but still, these are some nice seats. On the left side of the steering wheel, which you can't see, but we'll throw some imaging up for you, you do have some more controls. That's where you control your transfer case and some other settings, such as your 360-degree camera, your park assist settings, and your parking brake and heads-up display. Now, moving into the second row of the Yukon Denali, back here you do have a single zone for climate control, heated second row seating, and for connectivity, you do have 2 USB Type-C ports and a 150-watt outlet back here that you can plug any kind of standard US plug into. But the back seats are pretty comfortable, plenty of headroom up here and plenty of knee room behind the first row. The back seat pockets are nice, and overall, it's just a nice place to be for passengers. It doesn't seem like GMC's really cheaped out on any of the materials or nice features back here. So, when it comes to actually driving it and the experience of it, of course it's nice. The suspension handles itself with that magnetically ride controlled stuff that they've added. But the Tahoe High Country, when we did that car, that one had adaptive air ride suspension. It was a little smooth over bumps. You can get that with the Denali Ultimate. That is a standard feature on that car, but with this one you don't get it. This isn't necessarily much different from a Tahoe, and it doesn't really justify spending more money for less. I just feel like maybe the difference in its feature set isn't great enough to warrant spending more money. Now, it's not much more money that you're spending, but it's enough to where you have to think, do I want the second to highest trim of the GMC Yukon, or do I want the highest trim of the Chevy Tahoe? They even use the same powertrain, 420 horsepower, 6.2 liter V8. Same powertrain, same drivetrain, same everything with the Tahoe and the Yukon. It just doesn't warrant that much of a price difference, I don't think. Now, when it does come to driving it, they both drive great. They are big, but they don't drive super big. Parking, it's not a problem, and getting it around bends, there's not much body roll, and that is helped by the suspension system that GMC's put in this car. I'm on a mountain, but I could put my foot down a little bit. It gets up there in speed pretty well. Like I said earlier, the horsepower this thing makes kind of makes up for the weight that it has. Now, as for gas mileage, driving it right now, we're getting an average of about 16 miles per gallon, which isn't bad for an SUV of this caliber. 16 miles a gallon is pretty much standard on these cars. Yes, it's not fuel efficient in any way, shape, or form, but it's okay. I mean, it's going to have things like cylinder deactivation, which is something GM uses to basically save on gas. It turns off half of that V8 engine, turns it essentially into what's a V4. You save on gas. That's useful on highway driving when you're not on the accelerator. It'll use that cylinder deactivation. And that is the Yukon Denali. You know, for $79,000, I think you're getting a lot out of this car, but like I said, with the Tahoe High Country, it's the same price and you get just a little bit more for only sacrificing the brand name, though this is still a really nice full-sized SUV, and of course the American brands always dominate in that category. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more from us, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.